Hey Jim. Hey, did I? I've been pretty good as of late. Gonna be working on something slightly different today. And by slightly, I mean I've played with this before. We're just gonna play with it some more. All right. So many of you might recognize this. This is actually an older model of mine. We're gonna open up the older one, I guess I should say. So this is the older one. This is what we used to have. This is from the Lego Mars mission line. And when I originally modified it, I basically just went for a few different aesthetic looks. I added in this whole section here. I switched this to a transparent orange piece instead of the white one. I added these in here so that you can open them up and see on the inside. A few different details going on in there as well. I basically got rid of the whole back section here that swings down and drops off a cart and replaced it with the little weird mining thing that you see here, and added the car back here. These now rotate to act as landing gear whenever this is connected. Switched up how the engines worked. I hid a little fighter up here that can come out, and then the wings fold out, and then there's a little fighter there. Engines changed just slightly. One of these is standard, the other one is not. And then added some wing or air brakes here, plus these little horizontal slash vertical stabilizers, because they're kind of acting as both. And that was the original one. And then out of nowhere, I kind of got this idea to integrate a new set back into the craft. So basically, what happened was this entire thing up here that you're looking at that just plopped down on top of it is from the mobile command, or not the mobile command, the really big set in the Mars line basically that had the shuttle is what went up here, and I placed this up here, and that was the first thing, and then I switched a few different aspects about it. Obviously I switched up the cockpits. You can see that this piece right here is the sloping piece that marks the front of the ship. This just kind of sits on top of the hypersonic aircraft now. It's held in by studs and a little bit of Technic and an area back here. Once this came up here, the front area looked a little weird, so I fixed it. Instead of going with the piece that was there, I switched it to this curve piece. Now then, because this one up here, there was just not enough curving going on between these two sections here. So I fixed that by adding just a little bit more curving that went into it, and on top of that, functional curves as well, because you can actually open these up and there's a hollow space on the inside for storage or anything that you would really need. Once this was here, I needed something here, so I thought that this would be a perfect area to have kind of like an engine inlet for air or particles or something. It looks really good to have it right here. It kind of stands out just a little bit. It breaks up the straight line coming up here, and I really like that about this model. And then back here, because there was nothing back here, I placed a Technic bark going from here and then up into the standard tail section-ish type of thing going on back here. And then came in, placed an engine in, placed a little bit of this down the side. Kept these, did a little bit of work on the engines back here, added in the stabilizers again, just to have these because it looks better. These are a lot more posable. This is pretty much the most upper position that I can get them in with LDD, but you can obviously pose them down so that they're flat or not. But that was basically the next step. After that, I wanted to include just some more details and things like that. So I left the back end open, which we'll take a look at here in a moment. But then I went and I was looking through some of the other sets and saw the switch fighter from this line. Basically, it's like a car, but then you can fold out the wings and then the wheels turn into engines. I like the overall canopy design for the most part on that one, so I kind of took and I integrated that here, but upside down, and that's what makes the underside. So it's not just nice and flat underneath here. You have this underside going through here. I might take another look at this area here. I don't know if this is going to cut it for me or not. I got a little bit of room in here to work with as well. And then I switched up the wings just a little bit. So if this thing is coming in for a landing, is like hovering and whatnot to drop off the mining machine back here, I figured it would need something for that. So I used these fan designs, which actually came from this. They were attached on the side right through here. So I thought they were actually really cool designs. So I went ahead and stuck them to the underneath of the wings, and then used some of the engine inlet designs, kind of where wind would come in and then be directed downwards. And then also placed some engines out to the side here, but these can rotate downwards, so these can assist in the hovering aspect, or they could help with maneuverability and evasive maneuvers, things like that, once the aliens attack. Hey, aspiring artist. I'll get to y'all's comments here in a second after I explain this. Now then, there, this was originally butted up against these Technic pins or structures here, these lift arms, and then this piece came up right through here, and then this tail section just stuck out. I decided I wanted more room here because I want this to be a larger model. So in order to get the more room here that I wanted, I had to extend this out, and then this came up underneath here, extended this portion out as well, and then we got what we got. So basically now I want to take a look into figuring out what to do with this area here. I don't particularly know. I want to get some ideas about this down here. These are here for a reason that we'll discuss momentarily after I answer all these text messages that I'm getting. And yeah, so this area down here, right? So let's think about this. This is an absolutely gigantic model, right? And most crafts have landing gear of some sort, so these are holding up the front of the model, and the tracks back here and this tank are holding up the back end of the model. But nothing would, let's say you just take the tank off, so we can do that. It's pretty easy actually. We just remove both of those. There's nothing in the back here holding this up at all. So what I basically wanted to do was use these things. It can be a little bit of a pain. But basically you would just, okay, you need to rotate, please. Oh, I see. It's on the other side of this. So these would rotate downwards, and these would act as like the back landing gear, basically. And that was the overall idea and plan, except I don't know how they look. I don't know, basically. That's why I want to take it to the live stream and work on that. All right. Deadeye, I love cheese slips. They're fantastic. Which Disneyland? Is that the one in California? See, I live in Florida, right? And Disney is right down the road from me. But native Floridians just call it Disney. I think ours is Disney World. I think California's is Disneyland. I don't know. So, which one did you go to, basically? I know ours has Lego Store. Ours has the Lego Store that has the Knight versus the Dragon out front of it. I believe there's a family, like a life-size family made out of Legos. And then there's the dragon and the water. And then I think they have on display one of like seven dwarves mining, and maybe a hobbit now that I think about it. I don't know. Yeah, ours is 2 hours away, but the only reason ours is 2 hours away, in quotation marks, is because traffic is usually really, really bad out there. So that's pretty much the only reason it would be atrocious to go like out there. Traffic is usually the thing that takes forever, right? So without any traffic on the road, I could probably end up getting there in 30, 45 minutes without any traffic. All right, so I want to I'm going to work with this area here eventually. I keep trying to avoid it. I want to kind of come up here first and figure out what we can do with this. Oh, I wanted to talk about this. So this area used to end like way back here, but I extended it out, and now this entire inside here is actually hollow. But you can see that I still have the fighter on the inside here, and this entire thing is basically just held on with some Technic, and you can actually pull this entire section off, and then the fighter can come out. So this entire section could be a thing of its own almost. So I just kind of want to stick with the original idea of the theme where you can remove things as you see fit and play with them as you see fit. So you can just take stuff off, leave stuff on, depending on however you're feeling. I'm also trying to incorporate realistic colors. Like the Technic is basically what I'm trying to incorporate the most realistic colors for. Um, and then I'm not trying to, like, 1 by 12 flat pieces, I'm not trying to put out like what's an unrealistic color, like a purple for those. I'm trying to keep it something that Lego might actually produce, though I'm not Lego and I don't know what they'd actually produce. I'm taking guesses basically. But yeah, I just kind of want to shape this off just a little bit more right through here, which is going to be slightly difficult. It's mostly this angle right here. As you can see, I had to get kind of fancy with how I was doing it here. Um, Basically, this is a wing piece that goes down and covers up most of that, and then I ended up attaching an engine to it, so it didn't really matter that I placed that there. And then this is actually these right here, and then it kind of connects together, and then here's a bracket piece with a vent attached to it, and that's how I got this angle to kind of close off just a little bit. I didn't necessarily need it to close off a lot. I just wanted ever so slightly to get it to close there. Now then, basically the problem is kind of getting this so it doesn't look like a giant box is a good way to put it, because currently it looks just like a giant box. That's not what I want. What I want is I don't want too much of a line either. Just want it to kind of close off really well. Which I don't know if we're going to be able to do. So yeah, I didn't stream yesterday. I was busy doing things. So I think the good idea is to basically replace Sunday stream with now Monday streams, and then just kind of at the same time basically post to social media on Mondays as well. So like basically right after stream, post what I did on stream to social media. I think is what is kind of going to come out of this in the long run, because I think that's the best thing to do. I was busy watching anime a lot yesterday. I was also busy working on this. I've been working on this for 2 days now. Basically, I think I started Friday. I think is the day that I started. I just it came to me because I was thinking about it, I think, and then it just poof into my head. I had this vision to place the shuttle piece on top of this and kind of integrate pieces into it, and then from there it turned into doing more and more piece integrations until we got this. So that's where we're at for all of this. I kind of want to come in and clean this up too. Not much of a way to do that, and there's not really much of a time that you're going to see the majority of that. So what I think I can do to clean that up is actually delete these out, and we'll see if it works. A 3 is not going to touch, and then a 4 is going to be too far. So what if we do something like this and move it half a stud in? Will the 3 work like we need it to? It works better, but it's not perfect. But I think in order to kind of close that off just a little bit, that's a good idea. Yeah, now we got to figure out what we're doing there. We replace this one with this piece here, the 2. No, don't do this to me. No! It'll fit there, but it won't fit into there, which sucks. But I'm liking the shaping on this one more. So what if we keep this piece in to try to break past clearances. Place these in. Still won't. What the heck? Why is it having problems here? Favorite animal. I have a couple of different favorite animals. Yeah, this should fit here. I don't know why this doesn't. want to fit. Interesting. Um, Lemurs by far are probably like one of my favorite. I loved lemurs a lot. Like they're just lemurs are cool. I guess is the best way to put it. Um, Sloths. I have to like sloths because my girlfriend likes sloths. No, that's not the reason. I like sloths just because they're chill. They're lazy, and I'm super lazy myself, obviously. If I wasn't so lazy, you guys would probably get more streams and stuff out of me. I quite enjoy blue jays. I don't know where my fascination for blue jays comes from. I really don't. They just it happens, and that's it. I I really don't know where they came from. And yeah, it's the first three that come to mind. Don't particularly like this. Do not like that at all. I just need something to fill in right there that will work for what I need it to work for without being too much in that space. I think so. The reason I'm in cockpits is because if I can find the right button, you can see that there's a lot of trans orange, and I would love to place some trans orange here. So something that I'm thinking of is trying to slide in some cockpits here. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. And I'm moving it back towards this direction just a hair. So if we kind of build this up a bit. Like so. And then come in and see what we can do about this in the back. Where is that piece? So we could do that. Make this piece trans orange. Then have that like so. And I can open on up some way, shape, or form. Oh, yeah, that's right, that thing's there. I'd like to kind of figure out what to do right through here. To kind of blend this edge just a little bit. And we're gonna get rid of that. I don't want that. let's take a look at. My idea is if this was an official Lego set, there should be all sorts of movable things and areas that the kids can play with and open up and things like that. So primarily what I'm looking for is elements that open up and do all sorts of different things. So my use of these walls in particular was because of that. I see that these are slightly bigger. Um, there's something needs to go here. Tanks. If we do some form of tank, that would help a lot. So part of the idea behind the Mars mission line is that they're going to this Mars to get an energy source, and this energy source is these crystals, and you can see that in the line because the crystals are like always included in a set. You can see two of them right here. Um, but I kind of want to show the power source almost, which would be crystals. So we can do that. Oh yeah, I love these sets. I think this is one of my more favorite themes from Lego when it came to doing kind of cool outside the box things, and that's because mainly because you can use creative license whenever you're doing some fictional made up mumbo jumbo, uh, which is why some sets fall behind a lot. And I think this is kind of the heyday of Lego. If you kind of you think about it, most sets nowadays are over the top Technic building 24/7. I think back in 2008 when these sets were released, that's when it was predominantly um, a mix between the two different styles. There was Technic involved for structural stability, but there's also a lot of really interesting shaped elements that you got as well. Um, so like the 25 pounds worth of Lego that I got for my 1,000 subscriber special, which is going to come up soon. I got way more Technic than I did anything else, and it's not the worst because now I have a lot of Technic that I could use and play with, but it's not exactly the best either because I was kind of expecting a lot more slopes, break, splat pieces. I use Technic in my gun builds, but I use Technic sparingly in my gun builds, and that's why I'm slightly disappointed. Um, okay, I just, I just want all of it to be gray, but I guess that's fine. Do these in trans orange, and that could be the way that we get the trans orange to kind of come back here. A lot of the sets nowadays are licensed, and I kind of wish Lego would go back to their roots. I say that. Uh, I guess what I'm trying to go for is that Lego would open up to thinking about how they could improve their current building. So I think the best example that comes to mind is the MTT from Star Wars. That really big brown thing that transports a lot of droids. This thing you see in episode 1, I think. Lego has made 3 different versions of these. The first one is pretty small, and then the second one I think is the best one. So the second one is this one right here. So this one is huge. It's got a lot of opening compartments. It's got a thing in the back here that you could open out, things like that. This is my absolute favorite MTT that they've done. The newest one, however, is this one right here, and you can see a definite size shrinkage as opposed to this one, which is a lot bigger. You can see the droids here for scale between the two. This one's a lot smaller. I'm not going to say it's half the size, but it's fairly close. And part of my problem with Lego is that they did that a lot for some of their like newest sets. And that to me is just kind of like unwelcome. I don't want that in the Lego community because if anything, we should be working to make it more accurate. I think the second one's size is pretty much perfect, but there's new elements and new bricks and things like that that are out that we could be using to supplement the way that it looks even further as opposed to shrinking it down and making it look a lot more bad. That's the good way to put it. But I get it. There's always a trade-off. So the trade-off with scaling that MTT down is that you could make the price cheaper. But I think, and this is a strong emphasis on think because I do not know this for sure, I think that the third MTT costs just about the same as the second MTT. I'm not for sure on that, but I think so. I really just don't. The new one did nothing good for me. It was there. I didn't like it, so I never bought it. I haven't bought sets in a while now. I mostly just want loose pieces to play with. To build guns, that's all I really build. Stepping outside of building guns, I really don't do, for the most part. This is the first time that I've stepped outside of building guns for a while now. So, I'm gonna go with the trans green. Come here. And see if we can find a crystal. Where would the crystals actually be? No, not food. What am I doing? Are they in here? I think the big ones are in here. There it is. I think they're going to be in here. I must have just scrolled past them. They're there. I think that's a good compromise for that, I think. What we could always do is actually put one of these here. Ooh, I think I might go with that more. Actually, yeah. I like that idea more because you can, I don't think I have it on any of these. Well, it might not be these sleds. There might be different sleds that are used, but some of the sleds actually have holes in them that you can place crystals in. And that green that we used was actually the wrong green. Oh, well, because I used stupid me. Anyhow, yeah, we're gonna place these in. Hey, Jose. So let's go ahead and I like that look a lot better. It matches the theme way more. So we're gonna grab that, throw that there, grab this one. Of course, this is a problem. Let's do this. Kind of do that. Weird. All right, let's figure this out. There we go. I like that. So that just, it works for what we need it to in this instance. If I didn't say it already, this stream is basically making up for the lack of a stream yesterday. Um, like I said, I was watching some stuff with the girlfriend and ended up not being able to stream because I didn't go home till super late. So we were watching Psycho-Pass. I've been a huge fan of Psycho-Pass for quite a while now, but she has not seen Psycho-Pass, so I'm getting her into that. She so far loves the show. She's here. She can talk about it. I don't have to talk about her like she's not here, but she likes the show so far, and hoping that the ending screws with her head as much as it screwed with mine. Because why not? So this piece right here we're actually going to replace. There's a new piece that we could use for that. It is this corner piece here. I basically just want this one exposed stud down here to use it for something kind of like that, I guess. I wonder if I could use these. I can. Wow. Did not think that I was going to be able to. Boom. Just like that. There's a lot of trans orange back there. Yeah, it's a lot. So obviously you can use these tubes for a few different things. They're mainly for alien hauling, so you can move aliens around as you see fit, I guess. Um, or you can place the sled in it that has the crystals on it, and then have a whole like bunch of crystals sitting in there. So you can do a couple different things with these. So that's good. I actually like that section way more now. Yeah, to kind of come through and clean this up just a little bit. Have some semblance of texture back here. I think a more subtle look back here would be a little bit better. So for that, I think I'll go with something like that. Kind of inlaid back in there. These are the main ones up here, here, and over here, and then these are kind of like standbys. Plus they got these on bottom. And I'm trying my hardest to find more places to put them because this thing is absolutely huge and these are small and I could make believe that they're plentiful, but if they were bigger looking, it would be more beneficial. Our goal is to be off of here at 11, and then I can play the Xbox just a little bit. So that's the current goal. So, got all this room in here for something, and I have no idea what. First things first, I want to keep in theme with the other stuff, so a line of black would be fantastic. 16 works great. And then back here, we're probably going to build up a wall. So if I was the Lego company, I was going to cheap out my creators and just place this piece here. The more like large, useless wall pieces that they use, like instead of intricate detail pieces, the more pieces you have to specifically order from them, and the more money they make is what it comes down to. So keep that in mind next time you're building up any model you so happen to have. The more useless pieces they give you, the more useful pieces you have to buy. Which is why most people prefer Bricklink in terms of buying pieces. It's cheaper than going to Lego themselves, and you don't necessarily feel ripped off afterwards because you actually get the pieces that you need from Bricklink as opposed to pieces you don't from buying lots and lots of Lego sets, hoping for the best. Yep, that's Monokuma from Danganronpa. I think I'm trying to get her to watch Danganronpa next. We'll see. The past 3 anime that I've shown to her, she's loved, from my understanding. She loves Psycho-Pass. I'm going to count that, though we haven't finished that. She loved the first season of Konosuba. And then there's more after that, but I always forget what's after that. I know Sakai's in there. I know there's a different word for God in there, but I know Kami is a word for God. Obviously, Japan has multiple words for different things. But I also showed her Seven Deadly Sins. We also finished Seven Deadly Sins, which is a Netflix original in quotation marks, based off of manga, obviously. Season 2 is 4 episodes. I have no idea what happened. For a Netflix original, I think I don't know. I'm baffled that season 2 is only like 4 episodes. So after we finish Psycho-Pass season 1, I want to go back and watch Konosuba season 2. After we finish Konosuba season 2, I want to go back and watch Psycho-Pass season 2, and then after Psycho-Pass season 2, I would love to watch Danganronpa with her, because I love Danganronpa. This, though, I don't know how much of it you can see. You can see a majority of it. The letters, obviously, are Monokuma. So, mono is more English than anything. It just happens to translate to Japanese very well. So monochromatic is the idea behind Mono Bear. As you can see, he's only two colors. He's white and black with red. And the idea of this poster is that this is also monochromatic. So for something to be monochromatic, at least explained to me by my art teacher from high school, is it's black and white with a shade of a color. So red is the eye color for Monokuma. So the text color I chose is a lighter version of red. It's not pink. I believe this is the reddish violet color. This is all crayon, hand drawn by me, and you can't see it, but this was a Japanese project to describe body parts. So there's little lines that are pointing to the different body parts of Monokuma, and the Japanese word for those body parts is there. So for ear, and I remember ear really well because it's some of my favorite characters to draw, is Mimi, I think. If I'm wrong, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to be super embarrassed, but I'm pretty sure it's Mimi. Yep, me, and me's are like some of my favorite characters to draw. M-I, it's ear. And then describing different parts of the arm are slightly weird. Is it the arm? It's the mouth versus the neck. Yeah, there's just certain areas that are weird for Japanese naming. And then eye is easy to remember as well. Oh, apparently I don't have eye on here. Oh well. Yeah. So I was whatever. I don't remember what grade I got on it. This was a good project. Um, I doubt seriously that you guys are going to be able to see it because of oh goodness. There's another poster on that side over there. I hand drew that poster on the last day of high school, I believe. No. Not the last day of my senior year, but the last day of my junior year of high school. I drew that in a library using a library pencil without an eraser and then inked over it with a pen from the library as well. This one was super hard to do because I had no eraser, and the second I screwed up, it was bad. This is an Invader Zim poster. Invader Zim is one of my favorite cartoons. It has Gur, Zim, um, oh God, Zim's main rival's dad holding up the toast from the toast scene, and then the words Invader Zim along the top. Um, and then I got to go to the fridge anyways because I want something to drink. But while I'm down there, I was working most recently on another poster, another anime related one. I haven't finished yet. I need to ink over it. Oh yeah, you're not even gonna be able to see this at all, like ever. If I got closer, it's just gonna be kind of weird getting closer. If y'all can see that, I drew the main. I don't even know what to call her. The main antagonist slash protagonist. Sometimes it's really hard to tell. From Fully Cooley, and then have the logo Fully Cooley on top of it. Um, in particular, the scene where she's kind of like coming down out of the air with her jaw open, her eyebrows down, kind of like an angry face. An aggressive face is the good one I'd go for. And then with her guitar in her hand about to hit something. Um, yeah, it's I like drawing these types of things a lot. Um, I just I don't know if I've ever talked about Fully Cooley on the channel. Um, but I like Fully Cooley. Um, it was it was not my first anime, but when I was first getting into anime, I was just kind of searching around, looking at like the classics, what people recommended. So the classics that I came across basically came from Toonami, because Toonami is not what started me on anime, but Toonami is what was easy to watch on Saturdays once a week, and it was dedicated to showing the episodes in order. And I didn't have to go out of my way to find an English dub, because at the time I wasn't really interested in reading subtitles. But slowly that changed. So I remember Fully Cooley was like one of the last shows they played in the run of Toonami. So it was. I can name a lot of shows that Toonami ran that I absolutely loved. Casher and Sins. I loved Casher and Sins. I have tried so hard to draw Casher, but the problem I have with Casher, how I draw things is um, where something will start to curve is relative to another position somewhere else on the body or the drawing. So how I draw is I know that this curve starts when this curve ends. So when this curve ends, that's when I'm going to start this one. And that's how I've always drawn. The problem with Cashern is that he doesn't have much lines behind him. And he's relatively small. So let's look this up. So he doesn't have much lines. Oh, goodness. See if I can find the image that I actually drew. Because this is exactly how I find an image to draw. I think it did something kind of like this one, but not specifically this one. But there's usually not a lot of lines in Cashern to use to know where you're at. Like these, it just, he's incredibly difficult to draw because of how plain he is. I remember Cashern Sins. Cashern Sins struck me as a really deep emotional story. Um, on top of Cashern Sins, we had the Toonami original, IGPX. I loved IGPX because it took two of my it took one of my favorite genres and it mix matched it with another genre that I really don't watch. I love mechs. Mech animes are some of my favorite. Eureka 7, Gundam. I've dove a little bit into the mechs behind Code Geass, but that's not really a mech anime per se. But it took mechs and it combined it with racing, and then it made it work because the actual racing was well thought out. There is different teams. The different teams had different strategies. Different mech designs lent themselves very well to doing different things. The team positions had different strategies. So you have like a blocker and then an attacker, and then you have like a speed type of design. The mechs also transform, so they're not always just kind of skating around on their feet the entire race. They can also transform into like a speed mode. I personally loved IGPX. I haven't watched season 2 all too much. I need to go back and rewatch season 1 to kind of remember the struggles between the different teams, because I know different teams, some were just complete assholes, some of them were corrupt, some things like that. So transitioning from season 1 into season 2 after years of absence would be incredibly difficult to do. Obviously, FLCL, Fully Cooley. Um, Personally, one of my favorite animes ever because you can spend hours psychoanalyzing every single detail of the show and come up with zero answers. The one answer that has been accepted by the community is that this is a coming of life story about the boy in the background here. And he just so happens to be a coming of life story set in one of the most random worlds there has ever seen in anime. So you have an alien, a robot, and then her yellow Vespa. There's pirates. I said pirate and then added the S because it would sound weird, but there's a pirate in the series, I guess. I guess there's more than one. He's got a crew. Pirates, giant corporations, giant robots, smashing people with guitars, running people over with Vespa. There's smoking. There's a weird love relationship. There's a lot packed into only 6 episodes, and this was one of the shortest animes that Toonami had put out, and that's something that I watched. Obviously, the original Naruto, not even Shippuden, but the original is when I started with Toonami. And then it went into Shippuden. I tried to keep up with Shippuden. I sat down one summer and I binge watched all of Shippuden. I'm talking like the second I woke up to the second I went to bed, it was watching Shippuden. And then apparently Shippuden ended in terms of anime, ended. And then was like being after like a while, it started updating again, and then the manga ended, and I watched up to the anime, and then I picked up with the manga where the anime had left off, and continued on from there, and then it got to the end of the manga, and now there's apparently new things coming out. Bleach, I should have known that that was going to happen. I've never watched Bleach like that. I've watched this Bleach. I haven't watched all of Bleach. I tried. It's on Netflix. A little bit's on Netflix. There's obviously a lot to it. I was watching Toonami when it was premiering the ending episodes of Bleach, and I was highly interested because the Espadas have really cool designs, and that was the arc that it was on when Toonami was airing it that I had gotten back into Toonami. And I was so lost that I really needed to start from the beginning and like move my way up, and then that did not happen. I watched 2 episodes and it was far too slow, and I've heard from a lot of people that I'm not allowed to say that it's slow and not like good until like the 15th episode, I think is when things get good, and that's when it's supposed to pick up, but I don't have time for that. Um I tried my hardest. I used to spend the night with my cousin a lot when I was younger because my cousin had a gaming console far before I did. So I would go over with my cousin. We'd play zombies, mostly Black Ops zombies. And he always on Saturday night would watch One Piece because he loved One Piece. That was way back ages ago. I don't even remember, but it was a cool show. I remember watching it and I was like, okay, I'll sit down and I'll watch it from the beginning. And then there's like, you know, I think there's 600 or 700 episodes of One Piece, and yeah, that's a lot of runtime to go through. So I stopped watching One Piece. The other big shonen would be Fairy Tail, obviously. I started Fairy Tail, I got to like 70, 80 episodes in, and I just couldn't take it anymore. It's not a bad show. I will give it that it has its moments, uh, but there's a side of me that gets bothered because no one in the show has died as of yet. And like all of 70 episodes, a character can use the most OP fucking broken attack. The evil villain could use the most OP broken magic or whatever they want to use, and no one dies. No one ever dies in the show, and it bothers me for the most part. The first like 70 episodes, I know for a fact later on there are more people that die, and I want something more than just hearing about the death from a previous backstory. So spoilers ahead because I want to talk about this. Take for instance Gray's teacher. So Gray is this wonderful guy right here. His teacher, which was a girl, sacrificed herself to seal away something and died because of it, essentially. I mean, she's living on in the ice, but once the ice melts, it's weird. She basically dies. I didn't. I felt for Gray, but I also didn't feel because it's not like in Shippuden where all of a sudden someone that we've known for 300 episodes, aka Jiraiya, also spoilers, bites the dust in a fight with Pain, who's like one of the most OP people in all of the series. I felt an emotional connection to Jiraiya dying, and I cried a lot during that chapter, and then Asuma Sensei dying as well. I started crying even more. And then only like 70 or 80 episodes in, Gray's teacher dies, but you don't have the same character building and backstory up to it. The only thing that you really know about his teacher is that she took in these two boys. She basically raised them. She trained them. She made them strip a lot in the snow. And it just, you don't have the same type of character building and progression that you get in the 300-ish episodes of Shippuden, and the same thing when Jiraiya dies, Asuma dies, Itachi dying in Shippuden was, especially once you find out the truth behind Itachi, you can feel that. No, I don't lack the discipline. There's more things that I feel more dedicated to because there's more things that are better than this long-running series. Okay, let's take, for instance, I don't want to type in Hunter x Hunter memes, but take, for instance, Hunter x Hunter. I call it Hunter x Hunter. Some people call it Hunter x Hunter. It's easier to say Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter is a long-running series, shonen, just like Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, Fairy Tail. But Hunter x Hunter has deaths in it that are immediate and tragic. There is a lot of people that die in the series, and they are not apologetic about it at all. And that's something that I like about it. So more spoilers, because I might as well, while we're just spoiling everything. This guy that the mouse is on dies in the series and is the chairman of the Hunter organization. And that was something that was very dark in the entire series. Hold on. Let me get running in on this. One sec. I gotta get Ronnie in on this. Ronnie's gonna want the. Hunter x Hunter has deaths that are both very quick and sudden, and then long and drawn out. So, if you've kept up with the manga for Hunter x Hunter, you know that after getting his ass fucking handed to him by Crolio, Hisoka lost his fucking mind and then started murdering a shit ton of people. And the Phantom Troop. At least that's what I'm predicting, because half the Phantom Troop gets on the boat, things like that. But he starts murdering people. And because he starts murdering people, you don't necessarily feel bad for the Phantom Troop, but at the same time, you do feel bad for the Phantom Troop because you've seen enough of their backstories and you've had enough episodes with them to progress that you actually feel bad for them. It's not, the Phantom Troop isn't actually a phantom in the series. They are integral to the core line, and they are weaved into the story in such a way that you see bits and parts of them and you see different sides of them that make you care about them more than just Gray's teacher. My problem with Gray's teacher is that she is such a one-dimensional character that when she finally bit the dust, the only thing that really made you upset, sad, depressed is the fact that she sacrificed herself to save everyone else. You felt bad because the thing that she sacrificed herself to seal away had destroyed part of her life, was destroying more people's lives, and things like that. You don't particularly feel bad for it, right? Another thing, so if we want to talk more about this, we're gonna talk about the seven deadly sins. The seven deadly sins is a super short series. There's like, I think at the end of it, there's only 30-ish episodes. But there are people who've died in the series that you can feel for because the story is so well written that it works well. So I'm gonna spoil like the entire Bond backstory for Seven Deadly Sins that I know of for right now because I haven't read the manga. We'll get to that in a second. Um, see, I told you Fairy Tail is trash. It's just, I'm sorry, babe. It's just, it doesn't work. It's not well written like other shows. I've cried more with Bond's backstory with Elaine than I cried more when Gray's teacher died. And that's like the only death that I can remember from Fairy Tail because that's like the only death that I can remember. I don't know. I feel more sad hearing about Elaine than when I hear about Gray's teacher, right? That's just where I am. Now then, maybe over the next 200-ish episodes of Fairy Tail, I actually fall in love with another character and I feel bad about him. But at the same time, I'm just not going to. So we'll get back on track and talk about some more good written stories. Basically, we could talk about Dragon Ball. Yeah, you don't. But I felt like Ronnie needed to be here because I felt like Ronnie would love to be a part of this conversation because Ronnie knows more about what I do. Ronnie is my witness that I called to the stand to make the point, right? Boom. Ronnie is the expert in the courtroom that's going to justify my position versus your position. My other problem with Fairy Tail is that there's so much going on, and Fairy Tail is so hard to keep up. I haven't watched ReZero yet. There's some other things that I want to watch first. I want to, I guess, read first. I'm in the middle of reading JoJo Part 5 right now. Um, I didn't want to start shit. I wanted to start a calm debate in the courtroom between why Fairy Tail is good on your side and why Fairy Tail is trash on my side. That's what I wanted to start. You just going in there. No, I can't bring the points. I'm not the expert on the series, which is why I brought Ronnie. Okay, so let's go Fairy Tail. I know for a fact that Natsu has some of the most powerful fucking magic in the world, right? And he could easily fucking just obliterate someone like Meliodas from the Seven Deadly Sins, right? It's kind of the point of why this background has the fucking dragon in it, because he has one of the dragon magics, so on and so forth, right? He gets more powerful with the more flames he consumes because he eats fire, is the best way to put it. So if you think how I'm going to word this, and think about how to word this. Fairy Tail doesn't take itself too seriously enough for me to actually feel bad when someone dies in Fairy Tail. Right? You know how many times in the middle of a fucking crisis, like the world is in fucking danger, they're about to broadcast the flute that would kill everyone over the train station audio or something like that in the city. It would murder a whole bunch of people, so on and so forth. Right? But Natsu got fucking sick because no matter what mode of transportation he travels on, he gets sick. That pisses me off because it doesn't take itself seriously enough, right? There's this there's a version of balance that you have to have, and Fairy Tail doesn't have that balance that other stuff has, right? I feel as if Konosuba is the same way. Konosuba has a good balance between a build up to a climax, and in the climax there is one or two jokes, and we leave it at that, and then all the jokes come after the climax or before the climax, right? That's a good balance. The climax is supposed to be really important in saving the world because there's something in the way of world peace, as opposed to fairy tale where all the jokes aren't equally distributed the way that they need to be. There's, in a completely serious moment, there's something random thrown in there that feels more forced than what it should. Gray stripping down is a problem that I have with the series, right? Because Gray, in the middle of a completely serious fight that is life and death, supposedly, just gets naked. The only thing left that he has is boxers on. That doesn't work with me in a fight that's supposed to be life and death, right? It just... Think of all the long-running anime that have serious but joke moments in it. Some of them are balanced, others are poorly balanced. Basically, right, my problem with Fairy Tail is it doesn't take itself seriously enough, but it also tries to be that serious thing that it's trying to be, right? If that makes any sense. Konosuba doesn't take itself seriously enough to give a fuck about what jokes it places into the series, so it throws in a lot of jokes, but it still balances itself out with the serious moments of the series having one or two jokes to break up the amount of tension with it. So in particular, the the scene fresh in my mind is when um damn, what's her name? Oh, this is gonna kill me. When the tank masochist is in the front of everyone in front of the wall waiting on the giant spider to come towards her, and the main character comes out to talk to her about like coming back. She's like, "No, I'm going to stand right here." And then she says like the super serious speech about how she cares about other people, which is it's obvious that she does because she's done things in the past that make it seem like she does. She's blocked cabbages from murdering people before. That sounds ridiculous, Konosuba, but it's Konosuba. But at the same time, the main character points out it's probably because she just wants to get hurt by the giant spider because she's a fucking masochist, and that relieves some of the tension off of the serious weight of the nature of which she had came back to that character. And that's something that I appreciate more about the series of Konosuba than I do Fairy Tail, because I feel as if Fairy Tail doesn't balance it out well enough. I also feel as if the fan service in Konosuba is lesser than Fairy Tail. So obviously there's a lot of fan service in a lot of different animes, and a lot of animes do it subtly, a lot of animes do it a lot. Fairy Tail is one of those that does it quite a bit. There's a lot of women in Fairy Tail whose episodes can come down to boobs. Elizabeth in um, Seven Deadly Sins could be an example of this as well. I have problems with Elizabeth in Seven Deadly Sins because there's times as if I feel as if Meliodas groping her or looking up her skirt or taking her panties or so on and so forth is more forced than what it should be, and it shouldn't be that forced. It should be something more subtle or something not there at all. If you take out all the scenes where Meliodas is over groped or touched Elizabeth, the series would not change at all, right? And that's an example of something that's being forced onto the series that's not necessary or integral to the series. If you took all the fan service out of Fairy Tail, you'd be changing quite a bit about Fairy Tail, because some characters in Fairy Tail have no purpose other than be fan service, right? And this could be my unexperienced nature talking, right? So if we look at the Fairy Tail Guild themselves, I don't know if I'm going to be able to spot her in this image. Boom. This one right here. This guy, by the way, I hate this guy with a burning passion. But this one, The one that likes to drink a lot but is always wearing the bikini. I have never seen an episode where she's actually useful other than drinking a lot and wearing a bikini. Right? I just, that's me talking. I don't know if I've never got to that point. I, I don't know. Also, this pissed me off, right? This guy was fucking evil, beyond evil. Was a part of like the dark magic guilds and shit like that, right? I don't even know if that's the right word. I just can't fucking remember. I don't care. And then out of fucking nowhere, he just decides to join into the Fairy Tale Guild, right? It bothers me. Also, the two strongest members of Fairy Tale make almost zero appearances in fights until way later in the series, and it would have caught my attention way faster if they had brought those in and sprinkled them in just a little bit. I know her backstory. Her backstory is tragic as shit. I know she's a little bit stronger than, well, I shouldn't say a little bit. She's pretty strong. She's pretty intense. And then, other people in the series and whatnot. There's so many people in the Fairy Tale Guild that could have these intersecting, weaving stories with one another that could be much more better written, right? So, Kenyana, the whole reason I'm rewriting most of the book that I've been working on for the past 4 or 5 years of my life is because I kept adding and adding and adding, but interweaving them horribly. So I'm trying to weave a fucking basket, but the only thing I'm ending up with is a mat. And it's not fulfilling the purpose that I'm trying to fulfill. And I feel as if Fairy Tail is doing the same thing. They're trying to weave all these characters together into an intricate, nicely woven basket, but all they're getting is a mat, and it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Right? The point of me rewriting the book is to show how Scarecrow came from where he came and what his purpose was, because I feel as if that was lacking in the book. In the book, Scarecrow is more of a nonchalant character and just doesn't give a shit. All he wants is his own thing in life, right? So you don't know anything about where he got his powers from. You don't know anything about his habits and where they came from, because habits have to come from somewhere. You don't know why he fights with the scythe, but I feel as if I can write all that in, I can have this main trunk to work off with, and I can branch these branches out and then branch these branches back in with one another, and it's all going to interconnect in this nice way that plays out wonderfully. No, I feel as if the people writing Fairy Tale are trying their hardest but need to take a step back and think about it more, right? Another problem that I have with Fairy Tale is something called an ex machina. So, ex machinas are these sudden, random turns of events that save someone from some terrible fucking fate, right? So, a prime example of an ex machina from an animated film called The Secret Life of Pets is when Duke and the other dog roll out of the sewers after running from the underground flushed pets. They fall into the river, and there just so happens to be a boat going by, and they're able to get on the boat, throw the life ring, and then able to save one another, right? Otherwise, they would have been drowned in the river, and that would have been the end of the movie. That's what an ex machina is. I feel like there's way too many ex machinas in this that don't get properly explained, which is why I like JoJo so much, because there's no ex machinas in JoJo. JoJo explains stand powers in the manga up front with you after someone has figured out what they are, and then all of the countermeasures to that stand are logical, and you have to outwit your opponent, whether that be using your opponent's mind against them, the environment against your opponent, your own mind against your opponent in terms of the Derby fight where the gambling. That's not an ex machina. It just so happens that Jojo has outthought Darby in that fight and has won against him because the fear of Dio. I feel as if Fairy Tail, out of nowhere, will just have a character do something to survive somehow, right? This is the part where Ronnie is more important because I can't speak to this very well, but I know, and I'm sorry, dear, but Ezra has a lot of ex machinas that are just left unexplained, or it is chalked up to because it's Ezra, right? She's that powerful that she's able to overcome everything, basically. It's like me saying Scarecrow can just take over the world however he pleases because of how many different powers he has. It doesn't make sense just to say it like that. There has to be more reason behind it. There needs to be logic behind how she's doing it. There needs to be some decent explanation that's not far-fetched and outside the lore, right? So you can't just be like, well, there's a new type of magic and she's the only one that can use it, and because of that, it just works. I feel as if that's too ex machina, right? That's like in the middle of Ruby. This pissed me off about Ruby. There's a fairy tale that comes out that has been buried. Willpower doesn't overcome anything, though. That's not a good reason. Back to the Ruby thing. There's a fairy tale in Ruby that gets thrown out in the middle of at the end of the third season that just changes everything. And because of that, it bothered me because that was just a sudden ex machina that saved Pyrrha, ended up killing her, but saved her almost. And that's bothered me about Ruby. And this is what's bothering me about Fairy Tail. There's just so much crap piled on crap on crap of all these different problems that don't outweigh the good on the other side. Maxing willpower as a weapon master instead of strength. Writers never played a tabletop RPG. Fair point, aspiring artist. That's my problem with Ezra. She just, I don't know. Willpower is not everything, though. I don't feel as if willpower should be everything. I feel as if willpower should be the thing that keeps you going, but it's not the thing that dictates whether or not you win or lose, right? So we'll go back to JoJo. Stan's powers increase on a user's willpower level. So if we take, for example, Killer Queen, right? So that's trying to put this in Kenyana's perspective. Killer Queen is the one at the end of the 4th season that you had saw. The guy who cut off other people's hands, basically just blew them up with such precision that it left only a hand behind. It would make sense that willpower plays into a part of the fight, right? You can exceed the stats of your stand with willpower and develop new abilities with willpower, which is why when he got stabbed with the second arrow, he had the willpower to live, so on and so forth. But that's not the only thing that played into Killer Queen getting a new power. The other thing that played into the new power is that the person running Killer Queen had logic behind how he wanted to proceed in the fight against JoJo and I forgot the other guy's name. The guy with the hand. So he was fighting Shining Diamond. He was fighting the hand. Those two were the primary stands. And then he was fighting technically his fake son. But he didn't really have a stand, so it didn't really matter. It's just there's more to a fight beyond simple willpower. By the way, Mountain Dew, hit me up with that sponsorship. I love this stuff a lot. It's probably going to be a limited time offer. It's in support of the USA. USA, sure, I should say. 3 flavors, Code Red, Whiteout, and Voltage all in one, and it tastes pretty good, to be honest. So, I think another part to this, right, is that if I ever tried to pull something like this with a character against you, I think you would be pissed. If I said, "Oh well, Scarecrow just destroys phoenixes forever and like just murders them, just like they're all gone," and then you lose the ability to use Yano and Yana, I think you'd be pissed. And then you'd ask for like an explanation, and I'd basically just be like, "Oh well, because Scarecrow, because he's that powerful." I think you'd be really pissed. Now then, to you, that's probably comparing apples to oranges, but to me, there's a parallel between that because my reasoning is because Scarecrow and he's that OP. He has that willpower. His willpower was to eradicate all phoenixes, and that indirectly includes Yano and Yana. So now their existence is futile and gone. There are there's ways to push the limits beyond, but there's ways to do it without simply saying willpower is the way that got there. That's the reason most of us make fun of Gurren Lagann. Ronnie, back me up on this because I know you feel the same way. We make fun of Gurren Lagann so much. I should switch images to Gurren Lagann. We make fun of Gurren Lagann because Gurren Lagann's main like drive, engine drive, I should say, is connected to Simon's willpower. And once you get to the end of Gurren Lagann and they start throwing galaxies, here, this is a perfect image because it actually has the galaxies in the background. Once they start throwing galaxies around and shit, we make fun of it all the time because it doesn't make sense. Because it's Simon's willpower, and that allows him to unlock these potentials to throw galaxies around and shit. It just that we make fun of that all the time, and that's why Gurren Lagann is such a funny series to most people, and why most people don't take it seriously. Arcata, the person that I watch for anime reviews, often states to watch Gurren Lagann requires you to turn your brain off and just accept what is happening. And that's kind of how I feel when I'm watching Fairy Tail. I just have to turn my brain off and accept what is happening as canon. Uh, because robberies are a cheap way of getting money as opposed to most people working their ass off to get money. That's why people hate it. Got him. Short answer. What other series can we compare it to? Let's talk about Clan Ad. If willpower was so strong, Clan Ad would have never happened. Because their willpower was pretty fucking strong, and someone still died in the series, and it ruined the entire series and made a lot of people cry. There will and always be a right and wrong way to use willpower. And to me, the right way to use willpower is when it's combined with something else that makes a little bit more sense. Some form of logical explanation as to how that willpower has come together with a power to fix everything. There's a good example of this. Too bad I don't have the poster on the wall. I can use it. Um, Gundam Unicorn, which is a fantastic series. I love Gundam Unicorn. You definitely need to be familiar with the UC timeline to watch the series. Gundam Unicorn was a Gundam designed to end all the suffering and the racism going on throughout the solar system during the Universal Century timeline. In order for the Gundam to do that, though, the Gundam has to be super powerful, so where does the Gundam get most of its power from? Well, the answer to that, this is in its normal configuration, and then it goes into a destroy configuration. This is the destroy configuration. There's a third mode, though, that uses the collective conscience of new types and the feelings of new types to enter into a more advanced, overpowered type where it glows green instead, and that's how the willpower of the pilot, Bonager Lynx, and then the collective willpower of humanity and the new types are all channeled into the Gundam. It accepts that willpower using some form of drive or engine, and then it makes that into power. And that's what I like because there's willpower is involved, but there is some explanation with it. I'm not saying with fact. I've said multiple times that this is all my opinion. I've stated multiple times that I think that this is my opinion. You can go back and watch the stream. But I never bash you for liking it. This entire conversation is about how I don't like it, and then you come back with points about why you like it, and then I come back with more points about how I don't like it. I've never ad hominem you, which is the word. I've never come up to you and just been like, you are a dumb person for liking Fairy Tail. I have always said, I don't like Fairy Tail. This is the reason why. I don't think that in this entire conversation that we've had for like the past 30 minutes of this stream, that I have ever personally attacked you and said that anyone who watches it is dumb and should be belittled. I have always talked about the show in itself. If I have, I am sorry, but I don't believe I have. What's your favorite show, Aspiring? Ah, okay. When did I say that? When did I say that? When did I attack you, basically? Because what I'm getting at is that there has been a lot that's happened in the past couple college semesters that has changed the way that I look at things. Like I've said the other night, I've gone through conscious discipline training, and now I see things from different people's perspective all the time, right? I have to stop and just take a breath and think about it. So I don't. There was a point in time where I just kind of woke up and I realized that I shouldn't bitch and moan about coming and getting you every single day or about the gas prices or about how far it is. I shouldn't bitch and moan about that because in the end, I just have to understand that in the situation that you are in with your family, you do not have a car. You cannot exactly afford a car right now. You are working on getting a car, but you have to rely on me because your mom is dealing with her own shit. She has to go and do things with her other daughter. She has to go shopping. She has to go do errands. She's doing her best, and because she is out, I have to step up and support you on that. So I can't just throw it out there. I'd also like to add that we spent a majority of my English 2 speaking about seeing things from different people's perspectives and thinking about logical fallacies and kind of coming through and understanding that most people will very quickly point out bullshit from you once they hear it. And then, like, when we did the final exam for 1102, our final exam was a debate on why or should we not carry guns on campus, concealed carry guns on campus as a CCW holder. I was on the side that was against it because the teacher knew that I was pro gun and that he would like to see me on the side against it way more. I still led the team to victory, but I made a critical error because I made a judgment and the judgment came off as sexist to the teacher, and it really upset me because that was not my intention. There is so many things that I have done that have changed because of the outlook that other people have taught me to view from, right? ENC 1102, the conscious discipline training, my debate teacher says all sorts of things that I never agree with, but I can still see their side of it because everyone's political situation is different. It's almost like saying it's relevant, but I don't feel like relevant is the correct word because saying it's relevant would allow Ronnie to do whatever he feel like, and letting that happen is not okay. The right word that I'm looking for is subjective. This would go back to my philosophy class, right? Everything, hey Perez, is subjective to the person because certain things I say that come out of my mouth might be completely taken the wrong way from my intention because ultimately I'm the only one who knows what the intent was at the end of the day. My intent now in this stream was to not piss you off. It was to talk about why I don't like fairy tale and then why you like fairy tale and why I don't like fairy tale and then go back and forth and get through it. Okay? So with that statement that you just made, I'll try to phrase this so that it seems more like a discussion and not like I'm attacking you. Because I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just trying to, you make statement, I make statement, you make statement, I make statement. but they're just statements and they're not exactly directed at one another. Saying that it's just animes doesn't fit well with me because I don't feel as if they're just animes. I feel like anime has a lot of lessons to learn, and if we just say they're just animes, it's almost like saying that the lessons within anime are invalid in their own way and form. I brought Ronnie into it because if I needed Ronnie to talk to me about a character or some type of story that I didn't know about because I didn't finish the series, I haven't kept up with the manga, I haven't done anything like that, I have a witness to call to the stand. And I said that when I brought Ronnie into it. I brought Ronnie into it so that I could have someone to help me with my argument because I haven't watched the series at all. That's why I brought Ronnie into it. There is a lesson to learn from most animes. Obviously, Aki-Khan doesn't have a lesson to it. Aki-Khan is just Aki-Khan. But Gundam 00 has a very important lesson to it. Gundam 00 would not have happened if the Earth basically hadn't used up all its resources and didn't have to move all of its energy production to solar panels that orbit over the Earth. I feel as if we can learn that Gundam 00 is not an accurate representation of what will happen in the future, but can be used to describe what could happen in the event that all of our energy sources, coal, natural gas, petroleum, things like that, are suddenly gone. Just remove those from life, and we're screwed right now because most of our power consumption comes from those. Most of our power creation comes from those. Creation energies doesn't neither created nor destroyed. Anyhow, because of that, you could immediately have a global crisis where people are fighting back and forth for electricity because most of the world runs off electricity now. So governments would be more inclined to attack other areas for stockpiles of oil and such. The Middle East would turn into an absolute shithole, which part of Gundam 00 is that the Middle East is an absolute shithole. The main princess from the Middle East country, Kazakhstan? Kazakhstan? I think it starts with a K. From 00 is one of the characters in the series, and she has political turmoil because her country is, I believe, at the beginning of the series, was raided by the European countries. They took all the natural gas, and now she's extremely poor because she doesn't really have anything. And then the people, the union that runs the energy distribution, isn't distributing it back to her, and it's problems. And I feel as if there's lessons to it. Again, I brought Ronnie in to help me in character backstories and stuff that I don't know about. I don't know about Ezra's story. I don't know about pretty much anyone in the Fairy Tail Guild other than a select handful of people, and that's because out of the 80 episodes that I watched, very few of those episodes deal with another person of the Fairy Tail Guild. I know the backstories to pretty much, I think I could count the backstories of them on one hand. I think is how many backstories I know about the Fairy Tail Guild. And that was in the 70, 80 episodes that I watched in the entire series. And I think there should be more character development in there because the guild plays such an important part of the entire story. Fairy Tail is supposed to be the strongest guild, but if it's the strongest guild, it's not just a singular member that makes it the strongest, it's the team itself as the guild that makes it the strongest. So I feel as if in those 70, 80 episodes, I should know more backstory. I think we're back. Something literally just crashed and burnt, by the way, because my power went out. I don't know if you guys actually saw the power go out or not. I think you did. Um, but that was because a transformer had blown up. And I know a transformer blew up because like a second after the power came back on, I heard it blow up. So it happened out there. So that's why I cut out there for a moment. But Kenyana, I owe you an apology because my intent was to not get in you with this back and forth. My intent was to keep this civil. See, that's not the word I'm going for. It was supposed to be more calm. It wasn't supposed to upset you. It was supposed to be something calmer than this. I wasn't trying to upset you. I was not doing it on purpose. I was not being the person that you told me to stop being. I was not trying to purposely upset you. I am sorry that I have upset you if I have upset you, and I believe I have upset you because I think you've made it very apparent that I upset you. I am sorry for that. That was not my intent. Razor, I'm glad that you just finished Gundam Unicorn because I had to wait so long for Gundam Unicorn to finish. I watched Gundam Unicorn before episode 8 was out, and then there was like a huge time gap when between episode 7 and episode 8, and I had to wait that entire time gap for episode 8, and it sucked a lot. Because I feel as if now would be a good time to bring Ronnie in because now we can sit here and we can talk for an extended length of time without having to worry about time constraints about what made Fairy Tale to me turn off me, right? Just like how Gundam 79 didn't really turn you on or turn you off. You did not like Gundam 79. I personally liked Gundam 79. Gundam 79 came out in 1979. It's the oldest Gundam. It's the first Gundam series, basically. It's based on the first one. Most people recognize the first Gundam. It's a horrible series. There's a lot that's wrong with this series. Primarily the Amuro Ray um, as a pilot is just a horrible pilot most of the way through the series. Doesn't really grow as a character until Zeta and into Double Zeta, or Gundam Z, Gundam ZZ. I call it Gundam Zeta, Gundam Double Zeta because that's how most of the community does it. Well, I just I felt as if Ronnie being here would contribute more than harming the situation because Ronnie knows more about the series than I do. Wait, Razor. How did you watch Gundam Unicorn and understand anything that was going on if you haven't even seen like the original series? But I watched episodes 70 through 80 and I made the distinction that I did not think it was going to get any better. That was my determination. Talking to other people about the series justified your own preconceived opinions. Preconceived. I don't think preconceived is the right word there. You are right that other people's opinions justified what I thought. But I had watched 70 to 80 episodes of the series and made the determination that it was going to continuously do the same things over again. which is why I am reluctant to watch Konosuba Season 2, because I'm pretty sure that Konosuba Season 2 does the same things that Season 1 does, because in case you haven't noticed, there's not much progress made in Season 1 of Konosuba. They literally don't leave the beginning town in Konosuba Season 1. And that bothered me. Alright, Razor, take a look at this. February 20th, 2010, first episode. November of that year is second episode. March of 2011, third. November of 2011, fourth. 2012 now, episode 5 comes out. 2013, episode 6 comes out. 2013 again. This is special, I think is what that means. Episode 7 came out in 2014. What's that? I guess it is. I haven't watched this, but I need to, because this is actually kept up with for the most part. So yeah, I need to watch that. But yeah. So I watched up to episode 6. I thought there was 8. Apparently, there's only 7. I watched this episode, and then this is a special. I think that's what that stands for. I watched this, and then had to wait until June of 2014 before I could even get episode 7. Okay. I feel as if I could take the time and energy that I would sink into watching Fairy Tail and sink it into a different series that would be, in the end, more enjoyable. So, all the anime that I have watched in the time that I could be watching Fairy Tail makes up for all the time that I'm not watching Fairy Tail. So, instead of watching Fairy Tail, I watched Attack on Titan. And then we started Attack on Titan Season 2. We watched until it had ended. I watched Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, a standalone series not a part of the Universal Century timeline. That was a fantastic series. I absolutely loved the way that one went. There was logic behind that one. And also, it's not the best of series because it follows the same formulaic Gundam series for the most part. There's a racism war over 2 different sides. So in the Universal Century timeline, it's new types and then Earthlings. In Iron-Blooded Orphans, it's people that are born on Mars as opposed to people that are born on Earth, which is generally speaking, the people on Earth is one side of it. And then there's like some form of princess involved who's trying to negotiate peace for them, things like that. Konosuba, I watched Psycho Pass. We got through the 7 Deadly Sins. I got through all 4 parts of JoJo, plus I'm working on part 5 in the manga. I watched Tokyo Ghoul. I watched both animes, Tokyo Ghoul and then Tokyo Ghoul Route A. I've read both mangas, in Tokyo Kushu and then Tokyo Kushu Route A and then Re. I'm currently reading Re. I just read the last chapter of Re, which, woo, Kaneki, man. That dick game strong. Yeah, his arm was which is why I have tried to find series as of late that are more suited towards both of us watching it as opposed to just me. I did not finish watching JoJo with you because I knew you did not like JoJo as much as I did. Konosuba works because Konosuba is good. And in case you haven't noticed, I've been asking you regularly if you actually like the series that we were watching, because if you're not, I feel as if I could stop watching it with you and we can move on to something else. Konosuba worked out. You liked Konosuba. Psycho-Pass is working out right now. You say that you like Psycho-Pass unless you're blatantly lying to me because you think it's one of my favorites, so on and so forth. If you're lying, please don't, because I need to know, because I'm using that to gauge whether or not I should continue the series with you or if I should just end it and go with someone else or with a different series. I am trying to find anime that suits both of us more than just what I want. That's what I've tried. It's why I've asked multiple times what types of series that you've liked, and me trying to find the balance between what works and what doesn't work. No, falling asleep is not a big enough hint because maybe you don't get enough sleep at night. Maybe living in the house that you live in has prevented you from getting the sleep that you needed, and that's the reason you're falling asleep. Maybe you had a long day at work, and that's the reason you're falling asleep. There's so much going on in your life that I can't just pin it on, well, she's falling asleep because she's bored. You could be falling asleep because you're tired. It could be 2, 3 in the morning. You could be falling asleep. We were watching the Seven Deadly Sins, and you were falling asleep on my lap, but you loved the Seven Deadly Sins. Falling asleep is not a big enough hint because, to me, there is more reasons for you to fall asleep than just you are bored. There's a lot that goes on in your life that I don't think you're taking a step back to understand that you could be tired more than just being bored. I can literally watch anything Razor because I find the joy in anything. I'm about to get deeper in on this, so if you don't like gooey romantic things, out the door. I personally can watch anything with Yana because Yana is there and I know me and Yana will talk about it. I would not mind watching Fairy Tail with Yana because I know Yana likes the series, and with her here, I can ask her the questions that she usually asks me for series that I've seen and hope that it will get better and believe her when she says that it gets better. Is if after we finish Psycho-Pass Season 1, you would like to watch Fairy Tail, I am willing to do that with you because I feel as if you would be happy to watch it with me so that you can prove the points that you have been trying to prove and stop me from using the same thing that I've been using, which is my own preconceived notions justified by other people. I feel as if that's where you want to go with this. And if that's where you want to go with this, that is okay. We can watch Fairy Tail together after Psycho-Pass Season 1. I watched Monster Musume. I personally liked Monster Musume. I watched High School DxD. I personally liked High School DxD. Um, they're both quirky in their own way. They have different things behind them. Monster Musume's interesting because its main principles revolve around the world that have beings in them that aren't just humans, but the world knows about them and they have their own special laws that prevent discrimination, supposedly. That's part of the series that they haven't heavily elaborated on just yet. Dang, wins here. And then High School DxD. I liked High School DxD because the main character's power is quirky and weird, and it works, but at the same time, I don't think it would work against a man. It works against women very well because he strips them down naked, but I don't think a man would ever particularly mind. See, she says she has a wider taste in me, but that's not true because I can watch anything. Literally anything, too. I'm not kidding when I say literally anything. I've heard a lot about My Hero Academia. I've watched a review for it. My Hero Academia is also written by the same person who does One Punch Man, according to um, Yana. So I could do My Hero Academia. Um, I'm pretty sure season 2 was just released as well. So we could do My Hero Academia. We do have 1,000 subs. That is true. We've blown by the 11 deadline, but I'd like to. We'll continue on till 12, and then I'll just go ahead and get off and go to sleep. And just ignore playing Smite tonight. I personally like Aki-Kon because Aki-Kon is different from standard Western civilization storytelling. Western civilization storytelling has, for the past few years, stagnated because it's all repeats of the same thing, right? So there's hospital shows about people dying, there's firefighter shows, there's shows about anarchists in the form of biker gangs or other groups, rebels, things like that. There's lawyer shows, and then there's like CSI, Law and Order, things like that. As opposed to Aki-Kon, which is a story about fucking soda cans fighting for dominance and which one Japan is going to choose in the end to make. Thanks, Razor. Thanks for trying and helping. I appreciate it. That's why I like Aki-Kon, because Aki-Kon is just different. I personally like any anime. I don't think I've ever ran across an anime I dislike other than, well, I shouldn't say that because Boku no Pico is on that list. Because Boku no Pico, I personally quite enjoyed School Days. Why did I like School Days? Because there was just this weird point in time where School Days took a turn that no one was expecting, and for a slice of life anime, that was weird, right? I think I've watched an anime from every single genre except for the more out there, unokay genres, basically. So I've obviously watched hentai. I watched quite a bit of hentai, but like I'm talking about Boku no Pico level unokay animes, shit like that. I've Chronexia and the Eight Seals. I don't know about that. Speaking of anime that hurt my brain, Legend of the Legendary Heroes hurt my brain because there's a lot of politics, and if you can't keep up with names, that series fucks you in the ass miserably. I watched that back in high school because Andrew wanted me to watch it with him. And I watched it with him, and then we talked about it, and the more we talked about it, even the more confused we got, and then it just made it worse. I'm going to stick to more official things to watch. Um, I've started reading more manga than I have watching anime. The only time that I usually watch anime is with my girlfriend when she's over, and that's because it makes good stuff to like curl up and then talk about when characters do things that are epic and cool. For example, Psychopass when Enforcer has a certain face that we can both get behind and we really like. Yes, it did go to full genocide for the rest of the series. Something that I like about Log Horizon is that it capitalizes on the elements of SAO and builds upon them like SAO should have, that SAO neglected, right? Log Horizon builds upon the MMORPG world a lot more. I feel as if Konosuba builds upon the MMORPG world that they're in. MMORPG world, I'm still a little confused about whether or not they're actually within a game world or if they're just in a parallel universe that just so happens to look like an MMORPG. I'm a little confused with that about Konosuba, but that's a completely different discussion. I like Log Horizon because it builds upon different things and it talks about how this guild is the elite of the elite. The Tea Party is the elite of the elite, and they have all these items that are left over from their raiding adventures and whatnot in the game, and it actually feels like a game world. SAO feels as if they lack that because SAO feels rushed and bad. The current manga that I'm reading right now, Min, is I'm keeping up with watch this. This is a funny joke. I'm keeping up with Hunter x Hunter. It's not too hard considering there's fucking no volumes released. I'm keeping up with Tokyo Ghoul. Obviously, I just watched Kaneki give Toka the good dick, and then I'm keeping up. Well, I'm reading currently the 5th part of JoJo, and then I'm going to go into the 6th and then the 7th part of JoJo. And then after that, I will find something else. I don't have much time to read manga, so. My problem with SAO is that a majority of SAO felt rushed because they skip parts of the game that were super influential to the story, right? We know that in order to beat Sword Art Online, it better come back in June. I'm going to be fucking pissed if it doesn't. We know that to beat Sword Art Online, you have to beat all 100 floors of the game. Well, that entitles that there's 100 different bosses in this game, and there are plenty of designs that could be used, and you can look at other MMORPGs, other games, and boss designs and things like that to determine how each boss is going to work. So not enough creative design is not okay as an excuse if we go there. An RPG with no classes, an RPG where we see at most like 3-4 bosses. The game is beat on like floor, I think we're in the 70s is the floor that the game is beat on after fighting the boss and everyone gets fucking owned, right? I don't my problem with that final boss battle is that they literally rushed into that room with like the elite of the elite to beat that boss, and then like most of their forces get fucking wiped out by that boss. Oh my god. Like the Oko, just if that's the best players in the game, no wonder it took them so fucking long. Hey Winpai. SAO had so much going for it, but they rushed it out the door to the point where it ruined the series drastically. They could have expand upon the SAO world way more than focusing on things in the game that I frankly could give less of a fuck about. All they really wanted to do was build upon the harem of the series and the fan service of the series, give Kirito an entourage of females, and then have this weird like love. I can't even make a hexagon. Love hexagon, and that sucks. The whole point of bringing the best troops into the game is that they're the best equipped, they're the best ability, they're the highest level possible, and that they have like gone through and tried their damnedest, and they're the most experienced. No, it doesn't fucking work like that. It just doesn't work. SAO still bothers me on a personal level because there was so much potential with the series, and then when you finally got to the end of the series, you were like, that's it? There's 100 floors of Aincrad, and we see so very little. Teleport crystals piss me off about the series as well because they're like ex machinas, but they're like a guaranteed ex machina, and then half the time they're not guaranteed at all because then they don't work. The entire point that Kirito won't join a clan is because his other clan was fucking massacred, by the way, by fucking trolls, and the only reason they were massacred is because they're all weak as shit and they all wanted to go fucking dungeoning. And Kirito should have known that you never go dungeoning with a weak ass clan like that. You're supposed to level up on small grunts with long ass periods of time where you sit there and you grind and you grind and you grind because MMORPGs are really about grinding instead of being like, well, if we just skip ahead and go into the dungeon and we'll be fine because Kirito here is level so and so and he's such a badass you could back us up and then your entire clan gets fucking wiped. It just that I just ugh. That guy too, right? I just everyone got out of the game who didn't die, and then he's like, "Oh God!" And what a fucking selfish character too, by the way, because the whole reason he rushed out there in the end was to get the last hit item bonus, which was a cloak, and it even like look. It didn't even look good. It didn't. This is another thing not explained, right? The author for Logger Residence and Jump for Tax Evasion. Fantastic. I guess I'm not getting any Log Horizon manga novels or shows anytime soon. The armor that they're wearing in game, do they actually have an effect on the speed of a character? Like in, say, Dark Souls, for example. Bloodborne probably has the same mechanic because it's simply put Dark Souls, so on and so forth. So, take for example, Kirito. Is Kirito fast because he wears no armor at all and he's not weighed down by it? But other characters can keep up with him that are wearing full plate armor. So why would you does armor actually play into the game is what I'm trying to get at? Is there an actual mechanic with armor in the game? Does armor add protections? Does armor have special bonuses like most RPGs do? Do armors have perks on them? Special bonuses plays in the perks, I guess. I know Destiny has armor bonuses with ammo and cooldowns on items and things like that. Do any of the armors do that? Shiryu did by the bank. Oh, it is ironic. Oh, the irony. It's great. Oh my gosh. It's fantastic. I feel as if saying that it was unique to him. I'm about to sneeze, so if I sneeze suddenly, I'm sorry. And if you see it, I'm even more sorry because it's going to look disgusting. I don't think dual wielding should be a unique skill. I think dual wielding should be a skill for everyone. But I feel as if they wanted to make Kirito the more OP character, then you could delve into how he has gone down a special branching tree that is developed for speedy attacks like an assassin almost. So his class would be more of assassin. He would have dual wielding blades. He'd be really fast, but he'd have really weak armor, and he would get owned really quickly. So like the glass cannon of the group, and he has to rely on dodging a lot to not die. Oh well, oh well. I'm still gonna keep going. Just like I didn't know this I went into a lot of Dark Souls 1 with the understanding that I can just get through most of the bosses by wearing my heavy as fuck plate armor and then having really slow movements, right? And then I watched a tutorial on how to beat the spider bitch, and the guy went into that room with no armor on at all and was able to beat the spider bitch because he knew all her tells. And then he was able to dodge her super quick because he didn't have any armor on to slow him down. So his rolls freaking rolled like a full football field away from her with her massive AoE damage attack, and because of that, he never got O-code by her, and he was able to win. Kirito's one and only flaw is how OP he is, but then his OPness not returning, like you're saying. He is pretty petty when he just assumes that the guy who beat him cheat. Um, his health regen bothered me because it was shown in one episode, and then after that, there's like points in times where he's just like getting his ass handed to him, dying, and there's like no health regen at all. It's pretty bad. True. There's huge problems with Kirito as a character, and that's part of the reason SAO was a horrible thing. When SAO first came out, and I watched it, and I was younger, and I was still in high school, I thought it was the best thing ever. And then I grew up, I watched some other different series, and then I went back to SAO, and then I read a whole bunch of problems that people had with it. And every single problem that I read, I thought about, and I went, huh, these people are right. This problem is in the series. I don't particularly like the series anymore. Same thing with Attack on Titan. I have problems with Attack on Titan. I like Attack on Titan because it has smooth action sequences that are a lot easier to follow than the manga, because the manga is pretty difficult to follow in some scenes. I feel as if Attack on Titan, the anime, also does better with the coloration, the art style moved in a good direction. It follows pretty well to what the manga has in it, and I liked it. But I feel as if Attack on Titan was overhyped to the point where once it lost its one thing that it had going for it, there's no point in watching it. I personally just watched Attack on Titan season 2 on Kiss Anime. I just watched it on my Xbox though. Um, I don't know if I should spoil what's in the basement, but once you find out what's in the basement of Attack on Titan, you don't feel like watching the series anymore. That was the one good thing going for it. The only reason that I finished Black Bullet as a series is that once I figured out what was in the box, is what I wanted. Is what I wanted to figure out. What I wanted to figure out in Black Bullet was what was in the box, and that was the reason I finished. I would like a maneuvering gear because it looks cool. I feel like cosplaying it is a good idea. And I feel like it'd be really cool to have in real life because then you could just swing around like Spider-Man and shit, but nah. Spoil it for you. I'm typing in chat. What Min is talking about is what pissed me off about Black Bullet. I was like, what's in the box has to be some super OP weapon or some shit that's just beyond out of the fucking world, like destroyer of all things. And then at the very end of the series, they open the box and it's a fucking tricycle. Just Kagatana is one of my favorite characters from Black Bullet ever. Artist, you're gonna take the downfall for this. You asked for it, and now we've ruined Kamikaze. Yeah, that's it. Yep. I could even further spoil it and tell you about the truth of what's out in the outside world, but yeah, I don't want to do that. Man, you still believe that Hide is going to come back from the moon on the Gundam, but he's not. I'm telling you all that Hide was just a figment of his imagination, just like Rize and Jason are in his head whenever Kanaki's fucking flipping shit. Which, I mean, I don't think Kanaki's going to be flipping shit much anymore because he's kind of banging Toka, and I think that's a great stress reliever for him, but it's a fair point. Oh, well, see, I said I wasn't going to spoil what was in the outside world, and then Ronnie came in at the time and went ahead and spoiled it for everyone. We're getting to about the 12 o'clock mark, and yeah, I gotta go to bed. I worked outside today in the sun, finishing up a field um, to the best of our ability, and then had to pick up trash for like 45 minutes because people can't. This back portable of teachers, like they put their trash can out on the balcony, but they go to throw it away, and they're like throw it, and they completely miss, but it's up on a balcony, and then because they missed, it like falls out the balcony on the ground, and then they're too lazy to go pick it up. So today I flipped over a trash can and there was trash there. So I picked up the trash, and the second I picked up a trash, I'm not shitting you, 20 to 25 roaches, cockroaches of various sizes scattered in all directions. And that shit had me fucked up. I was like, hell to the fuck no. The second they ever ask me to pick up trash out here again, I'm going to make those teachers do it because it is their responsibility to get in the fucking trash can and not leave that shit on the ground out here. So, fuck that shit from now on. Yes, all the build up for that. And Yana believes that there's a couple different things that could happen. She believes, I personally believe that Muski is either going to kill Kaneki and then, like, have him trapped and then keep killing him over and over again, kind of like Jason did. And then Yana believes that Toka is going to get pregnant and then offspring like a 3/4 school that's like super OP, kind of like the owl. And then there was another one. Yana also thinks that Muski will kill Toka in order to get to Kaneki because there can only be one bitch in this relationship. I accept the abridged series ending more as the ending to SAO than I do the official ending to SAO because like the actual reason in the abridged series is both funny and actually would make sense for the game as opposed to Kayaba in the end of the official just being like, I don't know why the fuck I did it. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. Half of this has been arguing, unfortunately. I made a mistake. I would be to my girlfriend for that. I apologize. But yeah, we made some progress. Barely. We got these two things in here. I think that's pretty much the only progress that we made, actually, but it was some progress. And I'm glad that we made some progress. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Thanks so much for coming out and watching. And remember to comment, rate, and subscribe for more videos similar to this one. I think I might change the streaming schedule to Mondays and Thursdays. Maybe Tuesdays, Thursdays. We'll see. Social media updates are still going to stay on Mondays and Fridays. So today is a social media update. I'm obviously going to have to post to social media right after this. It's basically going to be a screenshot of this because this is what I'm currently working on. So I will exit. Remember to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and check out my website at bluejeanmeister.blogger.com. I need to update it. It hasn't been updated in a while now, but I'm going to go ahead and Asuki's out the door. So I will see you guys later in another episode of streaming or something.